Uklasish Pawatskrichi Kwitsi Tsumti, Ohokwita Omeksu, Loretta Charlson, Heshkwadaksu, No Weeksu, George Barker Laquanganut, Ohokwa Uklanaka Me'efkuts Rave Ish, Eden Hayupas, Histukshikla Tsum As. I said my name is Gina Pawa Hayupas. I come from Loretta Charlson Heshkwit and George Barker Laquanganut. I have 2 boys, Rave and Aiden Hayupas, and I come from Zoom As. Observations of effective leadership. We do not argue that educators should never think about the needs of particular student differences or the implications of specific student identities for social justice leadership practice. However, we do assert that more work to extend thinking across the student differences and their intersecting identities is needed. I wore my orange shirt in my picture because I wanted to raise awareness for residential school, because I feel like teachers should feel or understand that some of their students who portray to be disengaged, disruptive, or dysfunctional in their classrooms might be suffering from intergenerational trauma. Leadership styles should be selected and adapted to fit organizations, situations, groups, and individuals. It is thus useful to possess a thorough understanding of different styles, as knowledge increases the tools available to lead effectively. This is me in my grade 10 photo, and I quit school not too much longer after this photo was taken. My brother had shot himself and he had survived, but a part of me didn't. I feel like one of my biggest teachings is to treat a student the way that you would treat them as they are as a leader. So I remember hearing that when I was a little kid, and it makes a huge difference. Tensions have heightened as Indigenous people have increasingly turned to schooling, historically a site of colonization and assimilation, as a contemporary site of language and cultural regeneration and transmission. The question can be raised as to whether there are distinctive forms of Indigenous educational leadership, given that many schooling systems and contexts experienced by Indigenous peoples are in which educational leadership is enacted are in essence colonial impositions. For example, at ADSS, we strive to bring a broad platform of Indigenous traditional knowledge daily with art, language classes, and drumming and singing group. In the photo above, I included a photo of my grandfather. He was an extraordinary man who worked his whole life using servant leadership skills. He did extensive work with intergenerational trauma and residential school awareness and healing the inner child. And on the right is a photo of my late mother. When she went to a residential school, she observed and adapted to the environment as a form of survival. She became a teacher's assistant in line of defense to protect children as she could relate to them. Study of professional identity and leadership is a way to understand what influences a leader's behaviors and what drives a leader's willingness and ability to take on and enact creative and effective leadership in high-stakes dynamic knowledge society. One of the biggest things that I always struggled with as a child was having a sense of belonging, and the education system was my sense of belonging because I was able to belong to sports teams and I was in the music and choir team, and so I found more belonging in the school system than I did in the foster system and residential school. Therefore, I implement this into my children, and I also surround my children with leadership from like our vice president, Mariah Charlson, and I also explore our roots because I've formally just started finding my father's roots in the Lekwungen and the Songhees Nation. So I was excited to hear that Royal Roads was in our territory of the Lekwungen people. Social justice, distributive, cultural, and associational. Griffiths and Cribb sort out some of the confusion by identifying three major facets of social justice: distributive, cultural, and associational. Distributive justice refers to relations concerned with equitable distribution of goods in society. Cultural justice means the absence of both cultural domination and non recognition of cultural groups. And associational justice refers to the full participation of marginalized groups in decisions that affect their lives. At ADSS, we promote pride in Indigenous identity. We have visual awareness throughout the whole entire school where we have signs that say Hachitak and Zawak, which means we are all one. We promote a sense of belonging and creating safe space, so we know that when students feel that they are identified as Indigenous, that they will take pride in their education. Sharing power, hope, and the fruits of society is inhibited when there is a lack of shared vision and conflicting leadership goals and approaches. As leadership, we have to be careful what our actions say. We can use all the right words, but children mimic our behaviors. When students feel safe, they begin motivational leadership and start imparting their values and morals into other students. So it is especially important to be mindful of who's watching us and hearing what we say because they are the next leaders. Internalized racism results in the conscious or unconscious acceptance of racial hierarchy, where the culture, values, and beliefs of the dominant culture are prioritized over the culture, values, and beliefs of racial minorities. As educational leadership, our staff strive to create new opportunities to promote visual cultural safety in the school and building a sense of pride. So on the top left is Jackie Chambers, who is our student success teacher, and we strive to promote a sense of pride in academic goals and objectives, where the students set their own objectives and their own goals throughout the week, and then they can start to see their intelligence starting to develop, and you can see that change and that shift in the students' mentality, where they start to feel excited to come to school and they're not walking around with their heads down low. And on the top right is my co-worker Deborah Potter, who's the Newtown Health Education worker, and Jackie Chambers again, the student success teacher, and Mike Roberts, who is our leadership team teacher, and we work very closely together to promote other events and together, and we usually do the openings for the basketball tournaments and find different ways, creative ways of bringing culture into the school and making sure that it's visually available all over the school. So we have some cool new plans coming out next year with transformation of our education system that we're feeling pretty excited about. As a step towards visual transformative action, we implemented a new design to signify that we are transforming an education system. And we used the language Hajatak and Sawak to say that we are all one, basically implementing that we all work together. In the indigenized A above, you can see there's a thunderbird inside of the A to show the transformation, because the thunderbird is usually a crest used for transformation of strength, and the thunderbird also represents purity and cleansing of the land. So, which kind of leads me to the next design of the thunderbird woman that the Indigenous leadership team has inherited. I created this design with the two thunderbirds in the woman's hair, And when the community was in any form of danger, whether it was the land or the earth or the women and children, she would release the thunderbirds from her hair. She would take them down from her hair, and she would release them, and the thunderbirds would go and protect the woman and the children, or the land and the water. So we use this as a significant symbol for our school to show that we're now taking steps to initiate transformation in our school.